Hello and welcome to the Christmas edition of Low Code Campfire. This is episode number 224 for December 19, 2025. It's our end of year edition. We hope to look back a little bit on what's going on in the year past, share a little bit about what's ahead, and perhaps a little bit of holiday fun. But regardless, we will make best use of the hour. I am Dale Warner, head of support for Plant an App, and this is an event that we do every Friday or almost every Friday to get together and work together as a community, deal with the techniques and challenges and experiences that we face as we work with Plant an App. And we usually show something. Maybe we have ideas or suggestions on how to do things better. Maybe you have a problem that needs to be solved. But we do work on this week by week, all skill levels welcome. These are all recorded and put on YouTube. You can get to that at youtube.com/plantanap. Today we'll run a abbreviated agenda. We'll stop and say hello because we're a friendly group, and then we'll go around the campfire a little bit. We'll stick with our first call because if anybody has something that you need to deal with, we'll want to deal with that right up front. Our CEO, Bogdan Latescu, is joining us today, and we'll take a look at our roadmap. And if we have time, we will maybe play a little Wheel of Fortune Christmas edition. And then always, after we go on for an hour or so, we drop into Afterglow. That's where we turn off the recording, raise a virtual adult beverage, eggnog, I think today perhaps, and then and just to hang out and enjoy each other a little while longer with the recording off. So glad that you're here. Do jump in, show and tell, just get engaged. We have we you can submit questions or topics in advance. We don't have any of these today, but you can send them on to support@plantanap.com and we'll do a little bit of research, get them on the agenda. Just a programming note, we won't be getting together next Friday. We'll take the day off, but we will resume 2 weeks from today on January 2. And with that, hello, one and all.
Good morning.
Good morning, everyone.
So
Small crowd today.
small crowd. I did a big mailing, but I don't know. We're getting a little close to the holidays. That may be the thing. So people will watch it in replay. But did anybody come with a first call? Something you want to talk about first?
Just a shout out. Sometime back when I had asked for a way to keep the website going because I had created an automation that ran once an hour and was seeing that after a little while the automation wasn't working anymore. Didn't know why and figured it out with help from Dale on a support ticket and a technique to tell IIS to stay awake. And after setting that, everything worked great, and the automation is running as it should every hour.
Good. Glad to hear it. Anybody who's happened to be listening to this in playback, we're trying to get more and more content into the documentation, and that particular topic is in here. Settings to prevent website sleep. So all of our documentation out at learn.plantanap.com. Thanks for that shout out. Glad it's solving a problem. Welcome. We're still on first call. Anybody have a first call? Very fine. Let's jump into where we are, what we've been doing, and maybe we'll look ahead a little bit too. So currently we've just released version 1.28, the first release candidate, and I know some of you have tried, maybe not, I don't know on this call, but some of this group has tried to install it, and curious if you have what you're experiencing or what your plans are with regard to our 128 beta.
I would like to, and I don't know how other folks can just ease up at the end of the year, but my plate it seems to be more full than ever. So I'm going to try, and I do have a site that I do for just that purpose. So with any luck at all, I can get something back to you. I appreciate it because I'm the one that's been asking like every week, how's things going, so that I can boost things up to 10.11 or 2, whatever the number is that we're currently at.
Right. Yep. I know we're running internally, and Bogdan, you may have more insight into this, but I believe we're running a number of sites on this 128 version. And anything you want to say about the current release candidate or the next one?
Yes, it's. I think so far it's pretty stable. It's unexpectedly well. We saw large customers also upgrade very large instances with very little issues here and there. So it's already very stable. We do have some problems with the upgrade itself. Sometimes it blocks in between. And actually it's the DNN installer, but right now we are working and already found a nice solution to it. It will be a stable upgrade as well. We wanted to give RC2 this week, but likely it will be on Monday or Tuesday.
Nice.
But yeah, so so far we already run it on maybe 5-6 systems that are important systems, some of them. I think even Academy and Community, they are already on 128. So yeah, it's a good release. So I encourage you all to grab it, test it, give us feedback. It will make it smoother for everyone when we release it officially.
We last Friday on Campfire, we went through an upgrade just to kind of see what it looks like. And yeah, so anybody who's again in playback and wants to see what they're into before doing it, I would take a look at last week's recording. I know of at least one Campfire user that encountered an issue, and maybe we'll get feedback if he attends later today. Good. Funny that you say surprisingly stable. I know along the way in the development process, I mean, we moved a lot of things around. We did a lot of things to prepare for the future in this release, and that added some complexity during the development cycle. So I guess it's nice to see that it's stable by the time we let it out the gate. Alrighty. A look back, a look ahead. I know we have a roadmap. I haven't prepared anything particularly on notes about where we've been over the course of the year. But I know we can talk about a few things in the look back. I think one of the big things that we've done is matured our cumulative hotfix story. Don, do you want to touch on why we jumped into that and why we invested what we did in that?
Sure. And of course, I would love to hear feedback from people that I'm sure you used it by now. But basically, the challenges had always been, and even early in the DNN Sharp days, when you have different versions of different extensions and you upgrade one, and what happens to the rest. So that was the big problem that we wanted to solve in order to improve stability for everyone. Make sure that we give the hotfixes in a single batch. And that batch is something that we tested that all customers upgrade to. So then we don't have to figure it out end-to-end combinations of all these add-ons, which of course it's not human capable to test all combinations. So now we have a more linear path that all customers follow. So then we can ensure stability at every of these checkpoints.
Along the way with that internally in this, we have matured our release functionality. So, for example, understanding, making sure that a particular release is completely stable, meaning doesn't include anything that hasn't been through our user testing, user acceptance testing phase and our quality assurance phase. And that too was a little bit of a mystery. It was it's a real involved thing when you have as many modules as we have and as many developers as we have, getting everyone on the same page and making sure that we have everything ready to release. So that complexity has been turned into an app of our own, our product changes app. And you see some of the results of that by the time it gets to, as you're looking at the hotfixes, the cumulative hotfixes to install each one of those that we release together with its description. All that is part of that process. So very careful process. And then we get into a nice cadence where we build the cumulative update and burn it in internally for a week before we release it to you. So all that should make for very stable steps up. Cool. What other big things in the year past? I guess we've had essentially two releases, right? Version 1.27 came out in the summer, and then 1.28 now. 1.27 had a lot of functionality, including adding our starter plan, and the ability to have runtime and seats licensing versus a straight up unlimited licensing, which allows us to do things, make the product more cost effective in certain scenarios. So the roadmap is out on learn.planetapp.com. We have under release notes roadmap, and yeah, maybe anything you want to particularly bring to attention where your Bogdan is the big driver about where we go as a company, and has that wide angle lens of where we spend our development time.
Sure. So yeah, the big thing for us is getting ready for the future, and you all heard here in the DNN community as well a lot about .NET Nuke. For us, it's also a lot about Kubernetes, which are basically modern ways to run and scale applications that organizations require nowadays. And the bigger the enterprise, the more likely that is a showstopper for us to get in. And we actually encountered this, and I'm sure people in the DNN community have heard about this. The DNN is seen by many as legacy because of the framework that needs to be updated to latest Microsoft technologies. So that's a lot of what we do. But while we do this, we cannot just stop and say we are going to do this and not fix or do any additional enhancements. One of the big things that we invested in, and it will already be in preview in 1.28, is a new form builder. Action form we all love. It's been around for a long time. It grew into a very huge product, but its underlying problems are the technologies, which is the AngularJS that has long been obsolete. one hand, and on the other hand, it's the way that it allows you to do all sorts of dynamic JavaScript that is not CSP compliant, meaning browser standards would complain nowadays about the fact that you have a button and you drop a piece of JavaScript on the button. So in Forms 2.0, we still allow that, but we have a way to do it where we don't pass it to the page, but rather generate proper JavaScript code out of it, and then it loads in the browser, same as JavaScript file would load, and that makes it CSP compliant. So on one hand, it's about, again, the legacy stuff, getting it out and making it compliant and modern. On the other hand, the building experience also, we improved it a lot. Maybe I can show it a bit. It's not yet ready to be shown, but probably if I search well, I will find an instance that can be shown. But having a more visual drag and drop kind of way of building forms where you don't have a separate layout view that in Action Form is like an abstract layout view, you just have boxes. And then having a layout view that looks like or closer to the real form while you drag and drop it and edit it. And it's not, let's say, something innovative out of it. It's what people, and including me, would expect from a modern form builder. So this is the most of our features in terms of most of our effort in terms of new features is going towards this new form. We'll release it as a preview version with the 1.28 release, and then keep extending it until in 1.29 we aim to release it as stable. It will probably not have feature parity with Action Form, but probably 80% out of Action Form will be easily migratable to the new form.
We covered this last week, but Action Form is not going away anytime soon. So this is not a direct path you turn on Forms 2.0 or new forms. It's not like everything converts and you this is something that's essentially a new and separate product that you migrate to at your own pace. Did you have an instance that you wanted to bring up, Bogdan?
I'm searching for it.
Okay. Let's see.
While searching, I have a quick question. You just mentioned it is a separate product. Could you clarify that?
It's a separate module. I might have gotten loose with my language. It's a separate module within Plant an App, so it will be an add-on that you'll install, and so it won't when you install it, it will not impact anything that you have going on your existing site. It's just a different module that you'll drop onto your page when you want to explore using the new builder.
So transitionally, for instance, I could have action forms on several pages and a form 2.0 on another page, and
Exactly, yes.
Or even the
very
same
good.
page.
Or even the same. Very good. Thank you.
And I believe is it not on the roadmap to allow migration into the new form builder?
It is on the roadmap to have automated migration because eventually Action Form will be phased out. I mean, once we start, once the new form is stable, probably the Action Form will be maintenance only, meaning no new features get added. Probably some features that have been long obsolete will get removed. In 1.29, we already have plans to get rid of all the Bootstrap 3 stuff to clean up our code, so we can move faster forward, because now we have such a big luggage with all this legacy that we have to carry forward. Bootstrap 3 being another one of these examples. And Bootstrap 5 has been around, I don't know, for 5 years. So there's no strong reason to still carry that debt with us.
So the anticipation is at some point you'll be able to form by form migrate over um, into the new forms product and then test out the functionality, make adjustments, and then turn that live. In the short term, it's something that you'll be able to play with and give us feedback on. Still going to have the same kind of action engine that we all know and love and is really required, right? That's what you that's a core piece of action form, and that will continue on. It's just how you design the form and interact with it. All right. Did you find one?
I found one, but of course, some development happened in the meantime that is not functional anymore.
Okay.
But we do plan in January to do a low-code cafe about it. So probably the first low-code cafe will be about Forms 2.0 that we do. So then we'll have a stable version, nice version to demo and show around. Oh, you have one.
I have one, just at least to give a flavor for it. So a simple form with a simple button. So we have a build window on the left. So this is the administrative screen. Build window on the left with tools that you can add in. Settings on the right. So if you click into a field, you'll see the settings for that field. So the label, the name, the with the value. This is kind of a minimal implementation. Obviously, there's a lot more properties that action form has that we haven't implemented yet. So clicking in on the button, we see the properties of the button and the actions that go with that. So as I mentioned, the modern version of our action picker here, being able to choose and open and work with actions. But yeah, because it's the new engine will have things like being able to enable and disable the action that we have seen in some of our other products. But other than that, same kinds of functionality.
The containers are a concept that we long wanted to do it in action form, but we never got to it. But basically solving more complex layout problems, meaning you can have containers where you group fields to display stack horizontally or vertically. So now you could have, for example, one column on the left with another column with two fields on the right, things like that are much easier to do. But basically you can also put containers in containers and create any kind of nested layouts.
That containers concept is something that I've been looking forward to. So I'm really happy to hear that that's there.
Yeah, and I've played with this just enough to know that it exists and not necessarily how to make it do what I want it to do, but at least it has. Let's see, we have vertical and horizontal containers.
Yeah, maybe select the first container because you have fields in it.
Yes.
And now you can play with vertical, horizontal.
Can I put a container next to this other one?
Yeah. I mean, if you have stacking on vertical, of course, it will go on the vertical. But for example, you could have a container and you want to split that in two. You can, of course, put a field on the left, a container on the right, and the container on the right can have fields vertically. And then that could have another container that has fields horizontally, and so
on. I see in this list there is a repeater control.
on.
Can you give a snapshot of what that's going to be about?
Sure, let's try it out. Maybe you can refresh to get rid of the
Sure, I was
noise.
just
Yeah. So it should work at least for a demo purpose, but let's see. So just drag a repeater, put 2 fields in it. So the repeater is like a container, but it lets you repeat a set of fields. So basically, this has long been a problem that you have a field with a dynamic number of records. Yeah, maybe make it horizontal. Yeah. Okay. So now if you save and go back to the end user view, okay, now you should be able to keep adding first name and last name. And there are some rules. You can limit it to a certain number and things like that.
and do I have this correct that the result of this is going to be a list?
Yes, it will be a list. You also get a token with the JSON if you want to do something else with it, but you can also you also get a list that you can just iterate over.
I would think that's going to be very handy.
It is, yeah. You could do this in action form with dynamic fields and containers, but it was a very complex thing to do.
Well, and dynamic fields were subject to limitations, among them that it had to be those have to be in place on initialization. So this is really far more dynamic user.
Very cool.
Yeah. And
you can set the minimum number and the maximum number of rows that you want in the repeater. So it's a sort of validation.
And then I assume there'll be some way to initialize it with an existing set of
course, yes.
Yeah. Like probably point a list to it, or some
Exactly.
JSON to it. Yeah. Nice. So that'll be a nice feature. Anything else we don't recognize? A button, repeater, container, drop down text area, text box. So those are just the beginning entries. And then again, my understanding is that what you'll see in the preview is kind of this minimum set of fields types to prove the concept of the new product, and then over time we'll be building out to add in most of the existing field types. So this build area will get expanded with more content. All right, so that's Forms 2.0. Anything else that stands out on the roadmap?
I think another area that we, and I'm sure many of you already kind of build your own solutions, but trying to consolidate this these features that normally you need in an application and you keep reinventing. We keep reinventing as well. For example, having a notification alerting system. This is something that probably we did hundreds of times in maybe a dozen different ways. We have a mature model that we did in the past year that helped us to with what Dale was mentioning about improving our product change note system. And also we use it on our infrastructure as well. So we have a mature alerts and notification system. And we want to roll this into the product. So then this is a built-in feature. You have actions to issue a notification, to issue an alert. Maybe some capabilities to help you build a dashboard or a view out of this. And same with other things, like, for example, tasks, right? It's common in many applications that you have tasks that get assigned to someone, have a due date, like the usual task management application. This is something that, again, I'm sure all of us did in hundreds of times in dozen different ways. But again, it's something we could standardize, so then it's easier to do the common things and then focus on what's special about the application, not building these foundational blocks every time.
Absolutely. I see some stuff on Q4 that talking about workflow audits and pause and resume and debugging, which something that we saw as a proof of concept earlier in this year or last year, perhaps. And but that relied on multiple apps. This sounds like building it in as a core feature.
Yes. It's also, I mean, it's not it's not something that will start then. It's something that we already started with Watson 128 with refactoring, consolidating the action engine. It's part of our journey to maturity to add these capabilities that I think are very important. The ability to debug it more easily, to have workflows that don't necessarily run at a time, because many times a workflow is maybe about doing a payment and then waiting for it to complete, right? Nowadays, we build two workflows that are decoupled, but in a more sophisticated scenario, it's about having a workflow that responds to some events that happen out there and continues to execute one flow or another based on the response. And that will make workflows be more, let's say, more consolidated, not spread all over the place with chunks of logic.
Well, workflows already was a big step forward from that, and getting it out of forms and APIs and whatnot. Yeah, I was going to mention that if we jump into the I'm trying to remember. Oh, yes, the Wheel of Fortune app that I built a Wheel of Fortune app here in this last week just for our team hangout and consolidating all the logic in workflows and actually got a lot of help from an intern with that as well. That things that I might have put on a button in a forum someplace in the past, I really concentrated on getting that in a workflow and getting it exposed that way. So it ended up going together really quite well, I thought. Cool.
But I'm curious if anybody wants to share some of the capabilities or fixes that we added this year that were really helpful to you, really change things for you.
So sorry, guys. Yeah, there's been a lot of things.
I think you are cutting off, or it's just me.
Yeah. Mark, is this the week you're traveling?
Yes, it is.
Well, you're coming in and out. So thanks for wanting to participate, but unfortunately, we're not hearing you. Okay. There was something else. Oh, one of our regular features, we have the contributions in Campfire, and a lot of the things that go in here, do represent engaging, putting in the things that the making examples of the things that got added to the product. So this is a great place to look in terms of speeding up your development time, but also understanding what's available. On the, I just want to mention, I just added one yesterday, which is, a really easy one, and it just goes to show the simplicity of the tools that are there in low code. We had somebody on the community portal asking about merging two JSON arrays. The scenario was that they have to query an endpoint, and they were getting answers back in pages. That it was originally they started out and they were getting one page of information back, and so it was a very simple scenario. But if you've got a lot of data, it might be 2 pages, it might be 100 pages that you need to read it, issue many reads and then come out with one result. So um, this workflow lets you take two different JSONs or JSON arrays and combine them. So JSON1, JSON2 gets combined here. And it really doesn't matter what the content is, just as long as it's validly formatted JSON. So if you're in a scenario where you're getting data from a multi-page scenario, could be a lot of reasons why you have different JSON that you want to combine into one. This workflow, let me see if I can find it. Very straightforward. Just takes two inputs, a JSON1 and a JSON2, and the process is executing JavaScript, because JavaScript knows quite well how to manipulate JSON. And so very short JavaScript that brings the values in and concatenates them and sends the values out. If you don't have that particular scenario, I think this workflow is a real good action if you to take a look at if you want to understand the pattern of how to do execute JavaScript and work with JSON. First of all, it takes advantage of, we have on our inputs, we have JSON1 and JSON2. The execute JavaScript action tells you that it's going to take all the data that's from the current context and turn them into variables. So you don't have to do anything special to pass this stuff in. You just have to know what to do with it. So this JSON1 is the input, and this JSON2 is the other input. And you don't have to work it all to pass it in. It's just there. But you have to realize that it's a string being passed in. So we're doing a JSON parse to turn that into a true JSON array. And then from there, you can use the concatenate function to put them together. And then JSON stringify takes that and puts it back out to a string, results JSON. So this is returning it. I happen to name it the same thing, but this is returning it, and this is the token that it gets put into. So then I'm simply returning it as the output. So we can just run it simply. But it's a really good pattern for how to do that. One thing I learned, though, in developing this, that's a little bit counter to the pattern of what we normally do with most of Plant an App is case insensitive. Whether you said JSON or JSON or whatever, normally all the tokens are case insensitive. But when you try to take you've got tokens that are created in the context, at the point where it's creating variables here in passing it into JavaScript, JavaScript is inherently case sensitive, and so the variable with all small letters is different from one that was all big letters, for example. So in this case, it's just very important, and I've actually updated the help text. You'll see it in shortly in version 128, but it is case sensitive, and so if you're trying to figure out how to use these variables directly, it's just using the exact same names. So in the same case as they were created. But yeah, this example in Campfire shows a good example of how to do merge. Anybody ever faced that issue before? Does that help anybody?
No, I haven't had to combine JSONs, but just seeing the pattern, what you're doing in there is actually will probably prove to be very helpful going forward. Thank you.
Oh, absolutely. And when I was discussing it with the client that posted this, it was like, well, wouldn't that be a nice feature to add into Plantain app? And I suppose it would be. There's no reason not to have an action that combines two JSONs. But the thing is, the core capability is there very simply. So what might seem necessary to you and maybe should be part of the product is um, something that is so easily built, maybe it's not worth adding to the product. So anyway, just knowing how to do that. And I don't know if I talked about this one last week or not, but in case I didn't, this is another JSON kind of thing that's if you just run some SQL and end up if you run this much SQL and coming out to JSON path in a run SQL action, you'll get this result where because there's so much content, the run SQL action is automatically returning it in multiple rows. And so we're only seeing the first row, so it looks like it was cut off. If you use this other construct where you create a result variable and you run the exact same select you would do otherwise, but put it into the result variable and then select out the result, just wrapping this select statement in these three statements will give you a result that ends up being a good array. You'll see all the content from front to back. So just having this in your pocket, knowing that if you're trying to get JSON out of SQL, that this is the right pattern to use so that you get all the data. It's kind of difficult, or it's just one of those ghost story kind of areas that if you don't know that and you try and run some SQL and it works for your test data because it's short, you get everything, then you put it into production and it's returning hundreds of rows and it's getting truncated. Well, that's the issue there, that as the data grows, you have to use a better pattern. So
With regard to that technique, Dale,
yes.
the varchar max, at what point is that limited by essentially server memory? Where does that start to run into walls, or do you know?
It is, yeah, there certainly is an upper end to it. It is happening at the SQL level. So, yeah, as you get to humongous, you could certainly overflow. So there is an upper end to it. But
Okay.
I don't have the defined one. On the other hand, the run SQL action, I believe, has a I'm just going to throw it out here as I'm not actually going to modify my workflow, but just to take a look at it. The run SQL action has an on error section. So that would be one of the things, either using that or again, if you're trying to build something that's real resilient, you should be paying attention to these on error sections or putting, if any particular action doesn't have an on error, there's also execute actions which you can put actions inside that. And that has an on error section. So it's a way to trap for if anything goes wrong, what do you do? I suspect that would help you deal with upper end kind of issues. Since we have Bogdan and the brain trust of Campfire, anybody with comments about this super large upper end? What's Barcar Max? Better answer than mine. Oh, just have to assume I was right then. All right.
Are you referring to what the limit is of the bar chart?
Yes, there's like what's the absolute limit, and then
So
the when does your server get choked and things like that.
If I'm
I
not
don't think
mistaken, I believe bar chart has a 2 GB limit of data.
it's not the, I don't think it's the varchar limit there. It's mostly the SQL limit when you do this to JSON pass or things like that. So that's why it needs a cast, an explicit cast, something like that. I'm not sure.
Yep. So if you think so, it sounds like if you're getting to these very large sizes, it would be something to investigate, like at the SQL Server level, what that means, and maybe find other patterns to deal with very large things, perhaps breaking it into smaller groups. Anyway, okay. Anyone interested in rounding out seeing my my Wheel of Fortune app? It's going to
Yes,
take
please.
more. It's going to take more participation than you've been doing so far, but I will bring it out. So this is a classic Christmas phrase, and this is the collaboration edition, which means you don't have to. There are no points, there are no teams, there's no prizes. It's just the aha moment of having solved something. Oh, and let's see, I'm sorry. Uh, GPT came up with a nice image for me, so I'll have to show that off. Yeah. All right. So somebody step up and guess a first letter.
Any D's?
Do we get points for solving it now?
Yes.
I can solve the puzzle.
Go ahead,
No, you'll please. You said it first.
deck the halls.
Hey.
Okay. This took our Romanian team a little bit more than we got it. I think we took 7 or 8 letters to get that one. So yeah, but I do have some
What?
harder ones here. The next one is not that hard. You might be able to get this one. Somebody let's have a letter.
J.
Oh my. Does anybody want to solve it?
Sure. Joy
Ben.
to the world.
Okay, I'm going to have to haul out the more difficult ones. I can see that. So you guys are doing great. You'll not this one you're not going to get not on the first letter, but
We have to give Vanna some more work here to do.
all right. Well, somebody with a letter.
T.
Anybody ready to solve it? Or another letter.
A. Don, your turn.
A G?
There are no G's.
E.
One E.
S.
No S's.
O.
That's
Oof.
three S's. Three O's.
F.
I.
There is an I. Two I's.
I'd like to solve the puzzle, please.
Go ahead.
Out of office until January.
Very
Oh,
nice.
very good.
Hey,
Very
good.
nice. All right, all this brought to you courtesy of Action Form and workflows. Do you want to try one more?
Sure.
I actually have two more that we can do. All right.
Slightly dirty.
Yeah. Mark, you start us off.
S, please.
There are no S's.
T.
And this says slightly nerdy. It's Plantinap nerdy. No T's.
E.
It's not workflow. It's not token.
P
Should I be
is
saying
in
these?
plant.
No, there's no. Oh,
No
yeah.
P's.
I'd like to buy a vowel, please.
All right. Which one?
A.
Okay.
Oof.
We currently have no letters turned around. Better get another vowel.
I. Don, you're up.
G.
Now you get
H.
O.
two O's.
W.
We have a W.
N.
No N's.
L. I know the first two words. It's the last one that's getting me. C. What's that last letter? D.
I'd like to
R.
solve it. Oh, okay, go ahead. That's it.
All right. All
Oh.
right. Good job. Worked your way all the way through that. That one was not easy. All right.
That's a phrase I use every day.
Yeah. In fact, Ben's probably got a t-shirt with it on.
All right. We can call it there. I have one more if you want to do it.
Sure,
Will
what
we
the
have
heck?
time? Will we have time to see how you built this?
I'd be happy to show you how I built it. So we'll jump off into that for a minute. So we'll be a little nerdy here. So the front end was actually built last. Let's see. I should do this. We have a guest box. The category is a display. The board is a static text that is empty. But when you guess, it runs a guess letter. See that it really, I really went towards workflows. So pass a game ID and whatever the guess was, and it's doing some work in database behind the scenes. And then there's a get board HTML that you just pass the game ID and it's returning the entire board and sending it to board. So
I was wondering how you're building that.
that's very encapsulated, right? Very. And then I'm reading the game and getting all the guest letters back from that because that's done in the guest workflow. It's storing up the guest letters, so that's putting it directly in the guest field. The solve button is simply calling the solve game workflow, and then we get the board again. So all the work is happening in the workflows. So maybe the one that might be of most interest is the get board HTML. It's all coming from, let's see, let's do that. Everything is stored in a table app game cell. So game cell has whether or not a letter has been revealed and what the letter is. And so it's building the TRs and TDs to display and putting them all together. So heavily workflow dependent and heavily entity dependent. And it actually brought up doing this, I was really testing out, this is all done in version 128. So I had three goals. I wanted to put together the game. I wanted to test out version 128. And then I wanted to report things that I found. One thing that I found was my original hope was that, let's find the entities, that this game cell entity that had my game and word one, position one, what the character was, what we're displaying. So this is J for joy to the world. This is an underscore till it's revealed. My original hope was that I could use card view to display my words and I wouldn't have to do any work to build a board like I had to there. But unfortunately, a 12 wide, anything more than 6 wide card view ends up turning it into a floating view, which doesn't sound right. So I've reported it as a bug. But instead of getting a nice board by board by board, actually, I think I have this hidden, so maybe I could show you this thing. Yeah, I'll make it visible so we can see it. We're seeing this. So it's not nicely broken where I wanted it to break and things like that. So a 6-wide card view would work, but a 12-wide floats like that. So anyway, that's the high level of what I put together. Is there any particular question about Wheel of Fortune? Heavily intern reliant. Well, thanks for playing along with that. And I'm just going to skip on forward to our end slide. Thanks for spending today with us. And but really, you guys, most of you show up week by week, and we dig in and help each other out a lot. And I look forward to doing that again with you in the new year. Bogdan, thanks for joining and for bringing us along there, showing us what's coming up. And yeah, if you can hang around with us for Afterglow, we'll turn off the recording and hang out for a few more minutes. We have a hard stop today. I got a client meeting at 30 minutes from now, but and you can tell I'm stalling looking for my button here. Here it is. All right, we'll see you guys in 2 weeks. Bye.
Bye, everybody. Merry Christmas.